All right, here's another part of your brew group overhaul that you might come up against. This piston, this lower piston, can come apart. It's two pieces. I don't know how they're fastened at the factory, but that thing can come apart. And if that comes apart, you're going to get a group 8 failure, or error code 8, or whatever it is. Well, I actually epoxied this thing back together, and the epoxy failed. So it worked for a few cycles, and then the machine failed again. And I was surprised to see that my epoxy joint failed. So I don't know what kind of plastic this is. I may have used the wrong epoxy. This might be ABS, I'm not really sure. But if you have a lower piston failure and you need to epoxy it back together, somehow you got to find the right epoxy that will hold this plastic, and it will hold under the brewing temperature of the machine, which is 200 and something degrees. So I'm going to abandon this piston. I bought a couple spares after this one failed because I wasn't sure my epoxy repair was going to work, and apparently it did not. So fortunately I have a couple of spares, and I'm going to put a new lower piston. But that's one possible cause of a error 8, is a lower piston failure. And when I was first fixing this, it wasn't evident to me that this had failed because it was holding together, but it was loose. And as the machine would cycle, there'd be a little relative motion between the geared peg and the piston cap, and it would cause intermittent failures. But when I took the machine apart, the thing appeared to be in one piece. It hadn't completely separated. So whenever you do a brew group overhaul, check that lower piston and see to it that this is completely intact. It's not partially failing or completely failed.